Karobia.
Yes.
Good to see you. Naona uko na makesi tayari, nasikia uliambiwa watu sijui nini huko, kuna watu wameanza kusema uko na deni yao huko North Rift. Ulikuwa umeenda ku-launch Youth for Ruto. Niko baya, wewe una bahati leo.
Tarudi huko.
Salimia wananchi.
First of all, is to greet all Kenyans.
Na uchungange masaa bana. You never keep time, my friend.
Of Kenya. From Lodwar, from Kisumu, from Eldoret, Nakuru, Nyeri, Kiambu, Wajir, Mombasa. Of course, this is a national platform.
Okay.
The TACO is a national platform.
You said it right.
I'm privileged to be here as we discuss about Kenyan politics and also the American politics as we had started. And maybe to delve into that topic is that somebody who is asking why we are so much involved or interested with American politics. And I must say that today's global affairs are affected by which side you lean on. Either you are leaning on the Chinese side or you are leaning on American side. So whatever happens in the leading nations becomes the business of other nations of the world. Because the policies that, for instance, Donald Trump has been having has been affecting us directly. The policies that any president comes in American elections affects how the international systems operates. So this is an issue to us, and it is very dear to us. And also it's the US being one of the reference points of democracy, and Kenya being a democracy, it is worth noting of what is happening there, so that we can, in one way or the other, take notes and try to capture it in our democracy as Kenyans.
All right. By the way, could you mind introducing yourself first?
My name is MAINA KAROBIA.
What is a PF? Yeah.
My name is MAINA KAROBIA. This is not the first time I'm here on the TACO. I'm the chair of Forum for Progressive Future. Forum for Progressive Future is an NGO that deals with these issues to do with youth interests, advocating for good governance and accountable public policy. Also championing for access to quality education and technology, and also contributing towards environment conservation. Those are our 5 objectives. And it is one of it is youth-led, and it's one of the efforts of young people trying to contribute positively towards making our nation. We believe that the making of a nation can only be done when young people are brought on the table, when young people are involved in decision-making processes. And I believe that Forum for Progressive Future is one of those platforms that tries to complement other youth efforts around the country. Thank you.
All right. ODEDE, yesterday the president, the other day the president and actually Raila Odinga said that they are not, milango za kuzungumza za BBI zilifungwa. Mulifunga lini?
Just that moment they said imefungwa. It was closed.
When Baba says it's closed, it's closed.
Of course, when Baba says it's closed, we believe it's closed. It might not be good for everyone, but to some extent, that is what we think is the right thing. This thing, Gerald.
What do you mean we think? Who you and who?
Those who support the BBI. Yeah. Gerald, you know, there is no time we're going to have a document that everybody is comfortable with 100%. We're just going to have a document that maybe majority feel like is good. So I would like to look at it from this perspective. If we open for one group, we are opening for everyone. We're not going to open for one group and close for the rest.
So why are you closing for everybody? Because we are talking about inclusivity. Why are you not inclusive enough? Who still have issues?
There is just one thing we forgot, that there was time that everybody was supposed to give everything they wanted to give. And that time we saw, and we have evidence.
But there are cases, for instance, like Masai, Olakina say the issues that were submitted in Narok were not included. Coast region, they are complaining it was not included. So what was the business of submitting contributions that were not going to be included in the document? Because that's the argument. They're saying, okay, this is what we said, we are not saying them.
If the issues that were given from Maasai land or the other part are missing in the document, we have a discussion because they were given. But the issues that were not given and are looking for a chance to use the Maasai one to
like the way you're saying, we will discuss.
Okay, that's the honest bit of it. I mean, just let Maasai say this is what we said, it is not in the document. But then nobody can speak on behalf of Maasai elsewhere because they now realize this thing is actually going on and we must now get our views in when they had a chance and they rubbished it and said this is a non-starter.
What are your thoughts on that, Lucia? But then amesema we shall discuss. We will discuss about that. We have closed.
I have a question for my brother over here. Baba akisema uende kujirusha pale Lake Victoria utaenda?
Kwenda kuswim.
Nasikia atasema atauliza ni saa ngapi, what time? What time do you want me to jump?
In fact, how deep should I sink, Baba? This whole BBI thing is just, it's not it. The process was flawed. That's why we don't feel like we're included. At this point, there's nothing that can be done to make us feel like we are included in it. It's a gone case. That train has left the station, and unfortunately it's not going to go any far. It's just crashing. Hapo mbele tu kidogo tu. Hapo mbele kidogo, it's going to come crashing. There is no way mtatulazimishia something that we don't feel content with. You know, even the constitution was opposed, but yes, there was a point where everyone felt comfortable with it. At some given point. That point has not happened for the BBI. I don't foresee it happening. You're going about it the wrong way. Even if that door has been closed, you all don't need to like just throw it in our face and make it look like you're the decision makers and they're the ones that are holding all the power and wanaishi kwa vichwa zetu, so they know we are all yes people in this country and we are going to go with it. No, it's wrong. We are not going to go with it. The BBI report is not going to go anywhere. It's not even going to be implemented. Even if it goes anywhere, no one will implement it. Itashinda kwa shelf collect dust and that will be the sad end of the short-lived life of the BBI report.
Lucia.
Yes.
Uhuru and Ruto were forced on us. Are they not president and deputy now? We even fought. People died. And no one was comfortable. But are they not the president and deputy now? They are.
They were
so
not
we just learned.
us.
We are just good students. We learned very well. This is how things are done. And so that's
how you're doing it. So you're forcing it on.
Doing it.
All right.
We're just in your game.
MAINA KAROBIA, yesterday you guys had a press conference. Munajita Youth for Kenya.
Yes.
What were you guys talking about and what are your beef with BBI?
Gerald, the issue we have with BBI, we have been saying, is that the process was problematic or was wrong, and the results are also wrong. We made our presentations to BBI team, our secretariat, at KCC, at RICO, even in the town hall meetings that they were holding across the country. And we made our demands as young people, or as the youths of this country. But unfortunately, we have got a raw deal from the report that was just released the other day. So we have been having issues with the report. And last week we had a press conference and we had a consultative meeting with youth, and we said that the document that was released, or the statement that was released, because I don't want to call it a document, the statement that was released at Bomas, that it was not cast in stone. It should be a draft statement, whereby it is subject to review and amendments by other views, or alternative views. Unfortunately, there have been press conferences and release that the document is final, and it's either you are for it or against it. In short, what they are trying to push is a contested document. Yet the president talked of building, coming up with a consensus document. So as young people of this country, we feel that this document is against us, or it's something that is rolling back the gains that the youth of this country have been trying to fight for in terms of representation in National Assembly, county assemblies, also in terms of our positions in the executive. We feel that this document has not given, it has actually taken away from us. In terms of the help, it is proposing that we be given loans rather than grants. The issues to do with the tax holiday, we are asking about the sustainability of the recommendation. How sustainable is it with our economy, where we have a debt of almost 5 trillion? And we are telling young people that they should not pay loans for 7 years. We are talking about this SMEs, the tax holidays. Are they going to benefit SMEs or genuine businesses, or it is going to be a loophole for the big moneyed youths and also the moneyed old people to evade taxes through this particular provision in the recommendation? So we are asking for stringent proposals, something that is genuine to youth, and not dangling the carrots so that we can pass the political objective of this document. The other issue we have with Gerald is about the GMR, the guaranteed minimum returns. You remember that the backbone of this country is the agriculture, and young people are so much involved in the agricultural sector. People think actually that the agricultural sector is dominated by old people, but this is actually a field of young people. So we are pushing for those returns, so that young people can now start venturing into agriculture. I was reading a quote by the president of African Development Bank, and he was saying that the next chunk of billionaires will be people who have invested in agriculture. So as ambitious and hungry youths of this country, we want to venture into that field, so that you should create an enabling environment. And this document, in essence, is it is too political rather than too issue-based, and that's what we have been fighting for. And I will tell you, Gerald, if it means going no, we are going no. But we are pushing for a consensus document. We don't want to have that contested referendum because it will be divisive. But the unfortunate retreat that we found the president and the former prime minister committing themselves to 2 days ago, it is too unfortunate for this country. Yeah.
So let me ask you, what are some of the recommendations that you're giving? Because you've complained about what has been given. What are the recommendations that you guys are giving?
The recommendations, we want a they have proposed 5 seats at the executive. So as the majority people in this country, we are pushing for at least a young person to be among the top 5 in the executive. Either a president, a deputy president, a prime minister, or the deputy prime ministers. Second thing, we want a standalone Ministry of Youth. We have for the longest time we have been having the youth department or the youth sector being merged with other departments, and it has been superseded in terms of functionality. Right now, we found that the function of the youth is the Ministry of ICT. The function of the youth, it is the ICT. But can I tell you, the budget is still at the Ministry of Public Service and Gender Issues. So we want a standalone Ministry of Youth. We also, rather than having a youth commission, we want the NYC to be strengthened and enhanced, and to have a budget. And the membership of the National Youth Council should be by elections, and it should be a competitive process rather than being appointed. I have been reading a bill whereby they are talking of appointing people. That means that the NYC, rather than being the champion of youth voices, it will be doing the bidding of the political class. So we want an enhanced and strengthened NYC rather than a youth commission. The third thing is about the issue to do with the representation of young people in the National Assembly and County Assembly. Let me tell you, Gerald, even if the representative, the current and the past representative, have not done much, I can tell you I feel represented when I have a youth representative in the parliament. He can push at least one bill in a year, or two bills in 5 years, but at least when he is there, or when she is there, she is representing my interest, and I want that to continue, even if it is pushing one bill for the 5 years. So we want that representation to continue. We cannot be having the majority, yet the majority, we cannot be the majority in the country, yet we are underrepresented. Politics is all about representation and pushing of voices. That thing, or the fourth thing, is about the issue to do with the SMEs. We want young people not to be so much interested with the jobs in the public sector. Let them, the BBI, we want them to, when they are talking about tax holidays, let them have the certification and identification of SMEs. They should be categorical that small businesses are the ones to be given these tax holidays. And it should be at least 3 years so that it can be sustainable to our economy. This country has a lot of debts. So we want something that, as much as we are being given these tax holidays, also as youths, we want to be responsible of our country, because we don't want to be given these tax holidays, then our economy is performing poorly. So that's our submissions, and also the issues to do with the police brutality. We want an independent police service. When you talk about police council, this police council, the membership of the police council is appointees of the political class or the president. Then it means this, the police council, who are the key policy makers, they are at the strategic level of policy making. So, and the victims of police brutality anywhere in the world are the youths. So this is a fundamental issue, and we are very serious about it. And as Youth for Kenya, we are saying that the police service should remain as it is. In any case, BBI, if it is to amend the Police Service Act, it should only strengthen it and make it more independent, rather than compromising it to be a political instrument.
All right. ODEDE,
Yes.
look like you have a rebuttal.
Yes. There are two things we need to find out, Gerald. When I'm pushing for a personal interest in the BBI or a certain group, and when we actually want good for the country, there is a line.
Who is a country? Who is the country are the people.
Yes, the country is big. The country is big.
Because the country are the people. It's
like
not land.
myself, I come from a group called Nyanza Young Leaders. Yeah. If I realize that there is 1, 2, 3, or 4 things in the document that will benefit the country at large, and there is also recommendations that we gave as Nyanza Young Leaders that is not in the document. That was a recommendation that was to come and benefit us, probably as Nyanza or as a region. Is that enough to warrant say that now this document, however good it is, as long as it is not giving us, I mean Nyanza now, what we want, it is either we get what we want or nobody gets anything. You know, that's the attitude. That's what I see in most of these camps now. I mean, yes, we wanted this. We submitted this. It is not appearing. So instead of agitating that we want this to appear, we would rather Gerald should not get anything, KAROBIA should not get anything, Lucia should not get anything, as long as I'm not getting what I wanted to get. I mean, that is not an attitude that will help. Because if, for example, he says, we are going to shoot this down because what we want is not in it. So what makes you think you are the only Kenya? What about the Nyanza Young Leaders who think this should go on? What makes Kenya yours and not theirs? I mean, that is the attitude we saw in Uhuru and Ruto's leadership from 2013, when we tunakula nyama, nyinyi muendelee kumeza mate. It doesn't matter. And that is the attitude I see here with the young man. I mean, if this, then not. If we don't get this, then nothing happens. And then let me ask you, Lucia, or even other young people who are listening, who said that the issues of young people does not I mean, has nothing to do with good elections, has nothing to do with devolution, has nothing to do with any other section of this document. Because young people are driving a narrative here that as young people, that document has everything else, but as young people, we have just been given some sweetness here and there. So, does young people want a country with good election? I guess yes. Does young people want devolution to actually happen? I guess even more than the older people would want it. Does young people want good governance? I hope yes. But why is it that when young people come to the table, the discussion turns around that we, as young people, we have not been given anything? So if the document has given something around devolution, something around good elections, something around good governance, that is not for young people. Young people, it is only this that is ours. I choose to look at it differently. I think when we get it right with our elections, young people benefit because the country belongs to young people. I mean, like they have said, majority are young people. If we get it right with devolution, if we get it right with good governance, isn't it not again for young people? But why do young people choose to say that is other people? Sisi ile tumepewa ni hii help peke yake, but it's a sweetener for us to pass that one, that devolution thing, for us to pass that good governance thing. I mean, I choose to look at it differently.
Gerald, the basic definition of politics, according to Harold Laswell, is that politics is about who gets what, how, and when. Constitution is a political process, much as it's a legal process. So we must ask ourselves, what is in it for us in this constitution making, according to the pursuits of these two gentlemen, Raila Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta. So we must ask ourselves, as young people who are interested in politics and economic sector, what is in it in this document for us? If it is giving us a road deal, we have all rights to oppose it. It's our democratic right. And it's also a political right.
So you have chosen to oppose it?
We have chosen to oppose it as it is. Yes.
So it's one thing
so
when
you're opposing it? Or?
There are people in Nyanza region. I will give you as a matter of fact. Yesterday there was a guy called Austin Onyango who was who actually made a press, who was one of the press guys yesterday. And you shouldn't profile youths from Nyanza as if they are not opposing this document. There are actually youths in Nyanza region who have fundamental challenges with this document. And
yes, the same way there are youth in Central who have, supposedly supporting this document.
But let me ask you guys, there's something quite interesting as I throw into Lucia. Kwani youths from different regions have different, they're supposed to look at it differently or what? If you come from Nyanza, you're supposed to support it, and from Central, you're supposed to oppose it.
That is true.
Why are you balkanizing? Why are you balkanizing you? Why are you balkanizing you?
Let me I first want to talk to my fellow youth here. I'm glad that you're actively doing something to help young people in this country. I'm glad that you've taken a stand, a very strong stand against the BBI report. That is very awesome and inspiring. But there is something you said that I want to disagree with you strongly. You said that it does not matter what goes on. As long as there's a young person in parliament, you feel represented. I disagree, because I don't feel represented. The young people that we have given the opportunity to serve us in parliament are not serving us. They're out here killing us. They're out here doing basically nothing that progresses us. Ni kama beshte yako aomoke halafu ache kushika simu zako. That's basically what our young politicians are doing to us right now in parliament. They're not representing us. I agree they might sponsor a bill or two here, but sponsoring a bill at this moment shouldn't be our priority. Our priority should be getting that bill implemented. For instance, look at the bill that Sakaja supported, the National Employment Authority bill. What is the implementation? Do people in your constituency even know about it? Have you tried to follow it? Because the implementation is not there. Sponsoring bills is no longer enough. We need implementation. And if someone somewhere in a position of power is not going to implement, then that person shouldn't be there at all. And on that note, we just don't need young people to be in parliament. We need young people with leadership qualities and principles to be in parliament so that we can feel represented. If a young person who has ideologies that I can buy into goes into parliament, then I'm going to feel represented. But Babu Owino does not have any ideologies that I can relate to. Neither does Johnson Sakaja or any other young person in parliament, whoever's name I don't even know them. I really don't care. Now, when I come to MESHACK, there's this thing of it's called ephibophobia. It's the fear of young people. All governments have it. All people have it. All people above the age of 35 have it, and I'm seeing it in you, which is very, very sad. Which is very, very sad. Extremely sad for me this morning.
Can you repeat again so that I can go and use it over the weekend? It's called what?
Ephibophobia. So ephibophobia is the fear of young people. When I see a young person like my brother here coming up and I'm seated in a position, then I get scared that he's coming to take my position, and therefore I defend my position with everything I have, including excluding that young person to the decision-making table. No matter how good the ideas and the energy to implement he might have are, I'll just exclude him because now he's threatening my position that I'm still interested in keeping. And until we have older generations that are willing to do a transitional power thing from generation to generation, we are going to have this problem all the time. Now, here is where you, the government, and everyone else supporting the BBI is going wrong. The majority of the people in this country are young people, yeah? They're people under the age of 35.
Majority globally, not just in this
okay,
country.
fine, yes, majority globally.
Yeah.
Systematically also globally.
Yeah.
Spaces, political spaces, decision-making spaces, board spaces are excluding young people systematically. Now, if we are making up 75% of the population of Kenya, when laws are being made, who are these laws supposed to be made for?
For future.
Yes, for us, the 75%
Youth,
for the people, yeah, majority,
the future,
the
and now and
majority
future.
and future generations.
Yes.
But then when you look at the laws that are currently being implemented in Kenya, do you think they represent what young people need and want? Because I will tell you this, young people, we appreciate the peace that comes with good politics. We do. We appreciate devolution. We appreciate the decisions that are made by good leaders, which we do not have, and you know it. Tusidanganyane, we lack good leaders in this country. So therefore, we cannot appreciate these things. Now, the people who are in leadership do not understand our needs and our wants, number one. Therefore, they cannot make laws that will help us achieve our needs and our wants. I will tell you something that someone at the UN Habitat told me when I was looking for funding for civic education. It is not in the interests of the powers that be to have a population of young people that is informed and woke. Why do you think so? Because we will hold them accountable, and they lack transparency and integrity to be held accountable. When we say young people have been excluded, we mean it, because we need laws right now and policies that will drive us towards industrial revolution. We need laws and policies that will drive us towards technological revolution. What are you currently doing? Expanding the executive. We don't give two shits who is president as long as resources get to us the way they should get to us. And that is what young people are fighting for. Equitable sharing of resources. Now, understand that before you criticize us.
So, Lucia, who has been holding these resources?
The only people in power, Raila Odinga, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, William Samoei Ruto, Musalia Mudavadi, Moses Wetangula, Kalonzo Musyoka, Charity Ngilu. Should I continue?
That's what you think.
The list is endless. No, it's not what I think. It's what it's evident. Which country do you live in? Stop behaving like an upper deck person. Come down to reality kindly.
Lucia, I
Because
think
we
you are
know-
the one who should come down here. I mean, I'm very much down. I'm just wondering.
No, you're
I'm
not
just
living in reality.
I'm just wondering what exactly do these young people want? That we wake up one morning and ask them, go to State House, today it's yours. I mean, how do you know how the likes of Raila Odinga rose to where they are?
I don't really care.
They didn't live somewhere and came as old people and joined power. You know that. You should actually know that.
I am aware of that.
So are we doing the same thing the Orengos, the Kiraitus, the Mukisas were doing when they were young people in politics?
Are the times the same? Are the challenges the same? Are the situations
It
the
was
same?
worse then.
Yes, thank you. It's not
It is
now.
better
We are
now.
enjoying the freedoms that they fought for, but we want more because
So
we are in the 21st century.
Is it just wanting more by speaking that we want more, or
No.
wanting more by doing something?
I am here, aren't I doing something? How
Yes,
did you come to
but
know
then,
of me?
But then, how many young people are doing something?
A lot.
A lot.
A lot of young people are doing a lot of things.
Then
Am I
how
right?
many young people are in parliament and you're not satisfied?
No, now, the young people who are in parliament are not representing us. That is what you
So
need to
who
understand.
elected them to parliament and you're the majority? You are the voters
Now-
who actually
now,
elected them.
See, that's
I
not
mean, that's
not
where
the thing.
it meets the logic.
We-
That the majority wing who claims to be majority and the voters elected their representative to parliament, and here whining now. They are not representing
Meshack.
us. I mean, let's just go and do the right thing in 2022 then.
Yeah.
And then the
The
debate
fact,
is over.
the fact
You cannot
that we
stay 5
elected
kilometers
them,
from the microphone and
the,
speak. You have
the
to.
fact that we elected them
Yeah.
and they have failed to do the job that we sent them to do does not mean you should gaslight us. We exercised our authority to. They came to us.
Yeah.
They gave us a manifesto. We believed in them. We exercised our authority and responsibility. We voted.
If you say manifesto, I remember some manifesto.
They failed. They failed. We are now holding
KAROBIA.
them accountable for their
Those
failures. We are not
KAROBIA.
whining. Stop thinking we are whining.
Okay,
We are not.
okay,
We are holding
okay.
them accountable for their failure.
You know,
Oh,
the problem that
KAROBIA.
we do make as the young people of this republic is that
Yes.
we concentrate so much on the negatives. I can tell you, Lucia is saying that she feels not represented by Sakaja.
I
And
don't.
that's a right. But I choose to look at the positive sides of these parliamentarians.
Show
the
me
youths.
one.
They have done, there are good things that they have done.
Like?
Let me tell you, Gerald, the problem that we make as use of this republic is that we so much concentrate on the narratives that are being perpetrated by the old guards so that they can discourage us from vying for these political seats. They try to suppress our the opportunity of the youth by trying to justify them through the bad things that have been done, rather than concentrating on the good things. There are good things like the bill that on the 30% of the youth. There are good things like the ones I'm seeing youths trying to push. Like, for instance, the young senators, they were trying to push for an equitable or a fairer way of distribution of resources. And those are youth senators. Where are the old guards? So we should actually be amplifying such good things of youth leaders who are within the leadership, so that we can try and push this thing of actually youths can actually lead the nation. They can actually push a national conversation, rather than concentrating on the negative side that somebody somewhere shot somebody, and that should now suppress young people from going for political seats because another youth was doing a bad thing that actually is harm to a citizen. So we should concentrate on the good things. And actually, this is something that is a critical challenge to us as young people. We should complement the efforts of youth leaders who have gained political seats, and they are trying to actually amplify our voices. For me, I'm inspired by what I saw the likes of Murkomen, the likes of Sakaja, the likes of Mutula Kilonzo, the likes of Lendama, what they were doing in Senate. I feel that those guys, they are actually pushing for our agenda as youths of this republic, that youth can actually push a national conversation without necessarily concentrating so much on the negative sides of somebody drunk somewhere in the ladies' lodge or somebody shot somebody somewhere.
I have a question. How do you appreciate something that you never heard of, never seen, and does not benefit you in any way or matter? Niambie, vijana wa mtaani pale Korogocho slums, pale Madhare 4A, pale Madhare 10, pale Kawangware, pale Kibra, wanapata agpo. Wanaipata aje, wanaipata wapi? Nimekuambia stop focusing on upper deck things. These are the things that they want you to focus on. Stop focusing on what bill has been sponsored. Start focusing on how that bill is impacting and changing lives, and you will find that there is 0% of impact.
If
you do that,
allow me to read
implementation.
the comments. Then we come back. I give you a read one. Let me just read the comments that you guys have sent in. Quiet Gideon some morning. It's hard to tell who will win this time, but maybe the best win. Kimutaka sama good morning. Tata following closely. Philip here's a good morning. Jackie sama good morning GB and the panelists. Kuna baridi Nairobi sana, lakini tumeona vile Lucia mengara jua ikaanza kublink. David Oyola sama should be next week. Bitok ashapanga. Karibuni sana David Oyola. Max Kimene sama ndugu, politics affect everything you do. It tells everything about our lives. Kip Kemoinga anasema we are keenly watching it. Affects us in Canada too. We depend on USA for everything. Their stability in any way is our pride. Don Jason sama following. Max Kimene anasema this ODEDE is the biggest intellectual psycho I've never seen or ever had. Nathaniel Mungana anasema salimia Karobia. Ochengo wana anasema Lucia, in as much as the process was flawed, did you raise a finger on it right in time? Crashing BBI is a tall order. Personally, I'm against some fragments of the document. David Kamasama ODEDE is it's the truth what MAINA is saying, so respect his view. Trina and Sam ODEDE, you're so personal and selfish. Kimutako anasema we are all Kenyans, and if I feel my proposals were not captured, why should I support it, knowing that this is the only chance given? Kenny Roberts anasema this Baba man is misleading us. He's tempted in thinking the BBI talks nothing about good election. He's just sanitizing trash called BBI upuzi. Kimutako anasema that's why we are saying open this thing, we build a consensus. Kimutako anasema ODEDE is defending the document because its interests were captured. What about the other people like my community and youth? Then second anasema let's have mandatory retirement age from public service, and that should include politics. We have 90-year-old representing the youth. Interesting. Charity Kidu anasema octogenarians and the new youth. Oh, it is interesting time to be alive. Gen Roberts anasema Lucia, a good lecture to Baba surrogate. Dennis Oseko anasema young is relative. Can we have an age definition of who a young person is? Kimutako age is very sad, and we have to face it as this. We have been told tax year holiday at 5% to counties. Do us young people know the depth of this country by the year 2025? Can we rise up and say no to these tricks if we really need our bright future? There is some GB wapi the extinguisher. Maji ya ndo, tutaanza kumwaga na maji ya ndo. Niyo seko sema old is Lucia, atatuambia. I think she is 19 and 3/4, almost 20. Kenny Roberts said Lucia is right. Current youth leaders are not independent. They are tempt to party positions led by old folks. Rims Van Lenas and Samadat Kanojwang is talking like the reality to, though at least should a little bit appreciate the effort of youth leaders. That is Councillor Tarus and Gerald. Good show. Tafuta maji ya kusiba moto. Eric Graza Mwema Steve. Good morning, Steve. I'm closely watching. Lucia, I did my views were not captured. Sherry keeps us BBI home. All right, ODEDE, you're giving a.
Let me come in, Gerald. There is one thing we need to understand as a country. I mean. Just like you listen to the comments from different guys, probably mostly young people out there. Right now, there is a lot of young people who think this government has not given them anything as for now. But unfortunately, this is again the young people's government. The young people went out there. And they said they elected. Myself didn't believe they elected it, but we were told ni maombi, si uchawi. So God answered the questions of young people, and they told us so. The young man here knows God answered their prayers. Their prayers. So right now they are here telling us how everything has gone bad. I mean, did everything just go bad in a year or two? I highly doubt that. And when we talk about things like election, if we get election right, Gerald, then I have a chance as a young leader, and Lucia has a chance as a youth somewhere, yeah, to vie and win and go to parliament and make this thing work, yeah. But when elections are neither here nor there, we don't get it right. Many young people who have the brightest ideas today fear going for any elective position because you either want to be close to the party leader somewhere before you even start thinking that I should vie for an elective position. So for me, this is what begins to sort out the mess that we have as a country, and this is what begins to take our foot forward as young people to managing the affairs of this country. Trust me, if elections were to be free, fair, credible, and transparent in this country, the next election in 2022, 3/4 of parliament would be young people, or even more than 3/4 of parliament. And then all these ideas would be put to work because it is now young people in parliament. They hold the positions of power. Everything is in their hands. And they now understand what their need is. Like Lucia says, these other guys do not understand our needs. But how many times have we said that? I think so many times. And does it bother anyone? Probably it does not. Only when election comes, then you're told. Now, like now, many of them are being told, hii serikali ya 2022, tunaenda kuunda na wewe, boda boda, tunaenda kuunda na wewe, mama mboga, and all that. Then come 2023, mama mboga and boda boda will be sitting in this show to say they do not understand what we need. So I think we need to begin it from there. Lucia, can we be able to work together to sort out the election so that you and I are not afraid whatsoever to go for any elective post? Even if you want to go for governor of your county, you are sure the vote you get, if it is one, it is going to count. But if it is the winning vote, nobody is going to deny you that way.
But can I ask?
I want to go for senator of Nairobi County and for president in the near future, and I'm not afraid of any election. And here is what I disagree with you. We can agree to solve election matters, but then we will not solve election matters by expanding our executive. We can only solve election matters by dealing with the electoral body. So if we are agreeing to deal with the electoral body, MESHACK, I'm with you on this one. Now, I want to disagree with MESHACK on someone. MESHACK says because we voted, we shouldn't complain now that things are going wrong. We shouldn't talk. So tunafaa tu kujinyamazia kwa sababu things are going wrong and we are the ones who voted. Tujinyamazia tu tujikufie na hizi mashida.
No, remember.
Wait. How will we influence the next generation to be vocal if we are not vocal ourselves?
Wait, Lucia. Do you go to church?
Yes.
There is a time when the children of Israel told God, yeah?
Yes.
They want a king. And
yes.
they were told, you know, what you want will definitely suppress you, oppress your children and everything. And it came to pass.
Yeah.
And while they were now in captivity, the Lord told them, do this. We changed university for you. The curriculum is still the same. I had wanted you to learn this thing on the other side, but you chose to come and learn it in Babylon University. So stay there, and the Bible say, build a house, tilt your farms, until 70 years. So I am talking from the opposite side, who said, this government is not good for you young people in 2017.
But you are in it now.
Before.
You are inside now.
Yeah, I am inside. Wait. we were on the other side. And we said, it is not good for you. And they said, we want a king. Yeah? And now that they are in Babylon, the Lord himself did not say, oh, continue complaining. The Lord said, the easiest way to get out of Babylon, tilt your farms, marry there. I mean, you are going to stay there for a while. It is not something like you will just cry and then I, the Lord, will come and take you out of
so
it.
now you're happy until you're in Babylon again.
Wait, you are going to learn the lessons until you graduate there. Young people must graduate in Uhuru and Ruto's government.
But it's no longer. It's no longer.
We are not going to remove you out simply because you are crying.
No, but
You told us ni maombi si uchawi.
Let me tell you.
That maombi is being inajibiwa kikamilifu every morning and every evening.
Let me tell you.
So stop. That one I have no apology. No. That one.
Meshach is trying to say now, because Samuel warned the Israelites and told them this king will oppress you. Yeah. So when Saul started oppressing the Israelites, Meshach says Samuel should have gone to oppress the Israelites with Saul so that the Israelites can learn their lessons better, because that is what he's doing.
No, I'm using the Lord himself. When they were in Babylon, the Lord told them,
Yes, Karobia.
you will till your farm, you will live there. After 70 years, I, the Lord, shall come and remove you there. The Lord is waiting for 70 years, Kerobi. Keep quiet. Build your house there. Build your farm there. Remain there and wait for 70 years. Nothing else.
We are in the 21st century.
Whatever century we are in, wait. 70 years are not yet. We are only 2 years into this.
We are in the 21st century. We cannot contextualize our issues with the issues that happened centuries ago.
You don't the Bible, guys, every day.
In modern society.
Now you don't want to give him a chance. I have brought the Bible to your door. Your team are always in charge. And you think we don't know the Bible.
Wait for Karobia to express himself.
In modern society, citizens are required of them to contribute to a national building, irrespective of where they voted.
Yes.
And I can tell you, today, Republicans, there are Republicans who have been complaining about Trump for the last 4 years.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that they are not going to vote him. In fact, they have come out in large numbers to vote him. So we might be having issues with this Jubilee government, how it is being conducted, how the policy making, how it is governing the political party, and how it is governing the decision making bodies within government. But that doesn't mean that we are running away from it. So what we are trying to say is that we require more, we are expecting more from them because we voted for them based on our trust and because we believed that they were the best option.
Yes.
So as MAINA KAROBIA, because I voted for the Jubilee government for the last 2 elections, when I'm pointing issues at it, in fact, I'm pointing it out of the love I have for it and out of the belief I have for it.
Now
so
I
let
understand.
me tell you, MESHACK, on the issue of election issues that we have been having in this country, Gerald, I've been saying that the reason as to why elections in Kenya is a matter of life and death, and by extension in Africa, is because of poverty. Until we solve the issue of poverty, elections in Africa and in Kenya will always be an issue of a matter of life and death. No matter how much we have constitution-making moments or discerning the constitutional moments, no matter how we expand the executive, until we solve the issue of poverty level, we will always be having conflicts after elections. The second thing, I want to say this. Enhancement of and strengthening of electoral process cannot be enhanced by political parties seconding officials to the electoral body. In essence, what you are saying is that the commissioners, like for instance, I saw the former chair of Legal and Justice Commission, Honorable William Cheptumo, saying that when political parties are given the powers to second members to second commissioners to the IBC. In essence, what they are saying, they are breeding violence, because in 2022 or when there will be any election, these guys they will be issuing separate statements, trying to issue separate results or giving separate positions on the elections that are being conducted. So when we are talking about enhancement of the electoral process, we should be very categorical that we want a credible, verifiable, transparent results.
Yes.
Not
Elections.
seconding commissioners or giving political parties and competitors the powers to second officials and referees to the electoral body.
Thank you. Do you think, MAINA, in your opinion, we should get the election right or get the question of poverty? Because it is good elections that ends up with good leaders who turns around the economy, if I understand it my way. If we were insisting that we need to sort out the issue of poverty first, and care less about election, I feel like you're getting it wrong. Because how are we going to get the right leadership to turn the economy around? You are the person you're supporting, for example, promised that we will grow this economy by a double digit. Maybe if he grew the economy by a double digit and he didn't look at me in the eye while going angry and told me, wewe endelea kumeza mate, I would not fight life and death to have my man on the table. Maybe now I would be saying, I don't care, I'm just going to vote, it's okay. So for me, I would rather we sort out the election. Because election, if young people are well educated, they are going to get the right people to power. The right people here does not necessarily have to be Raila Odinga, William Ruto, or Uhuru Kenyatta. It could be Lucia here, who is going to turn around the economy.
I have a question, Meshach. So solving the issues of elections means expanding the executive.
No, I haven't said that.
But you're supporting the BBI, and
Yes.
that is what it advocates for.
I am supporting
And it
BBI.
has zero. It
How
has
does
zero.
that solve
So
the
the
problem of
election,
election?
wait. He touched on solving the elections. Yeah?
So how are we solving the elections?
We have had an independent electoral commission, aren't we?
Which hasn't been independent at all.
What do you think happened? Because we had an election which was nullified, and the servers are not yet open until today. And Akombe is somewhere in America saying this. 3 commissioners rejected the commission and resigned, saying that Chebukati is here battling, fighting Raila Odinga now. Is that what you want as young people? I think not. So what did you propose that we do with the electoral body so that we get the elections right? Some other Kenyans came and said, maybe it is time each and every party gives a commissioner to the commission. Maybe that will help watch each other with this mess of election. Other people think it is not right. But is it worse than what we have? Because, like, for example, the deputy president was saying, is it really fair that some teams will appoint the referee and others not? But is it better what we have today when one team appoints the referee and the entire match officials? Because what we have right now is one team appointing everyone. Uhuru was appointing Chebukati, and do you know, after the Public Service Commission had conducted interview from Kenyans, do you know the Kenyan who was number 1 with that in that interview, number 2, number 3, number 4, did not make it to the commission, and Uhuru was going to compete in that election. But Chebukati was taken from number 10. All these commissioners who are in the commission, none of them from the Public Service Commission interview came number 1, 2, or 3, or 4.
But the process
this is one man, one team appointing the match officials and the referee. And you're telling me it is better that way. I would rather we go with all of us having a commission in the commission.
Let me ask you something.
You're not doing anything better right now. Correct me.
The appointment of commissioners to any commission in any constitutional commission is not a unilateral decision. It's not left to the president only.
It is.
It is something that is also the candidate must also go to the parliament in terms of interview. For instance, the way we have been
parliament which brought Achesa to Ministry of Sports with class 6. You are telling me that parliament is effective.
But we had,
come on, guys, where do you live?
We had parliamentarians from the opposition side. They should have
who refused to accept Achesa, and yours accepted him with class 6, and you're looking at me in the eye trying to tell me come on, guys.
Meshach is contradicting himself. Meshach hates centralization of power because right now it is only centralized within one person. But he's advocating for the BBI, which centralizes power to one person. Meshach hates the parliament. He thinks the parliament cannot be able to do things.
Those are your words. Those are your words.
But he's supporting the BBI, which is supposed to be enacted by parliament. Meshach,
no, those are your words. Those are not my words.
In fact, he was a president who has more power.
I am saying I am saying, Lucia, and I will repeat, what we have now is not fair for anyone. One particular team appointing the entire match officials and the referee, and you're telling me that is better. No. If it is better, why are we having the mess we have in IBC right now?
But the president who has been proposed...
I would want to ask a question.
But the president who has been proposed by the BBI has actually more powers than what we have in the
No,
current
you are
constitution.
shifting from IBC, you have gone to president. Okay, let's go to president. The mess we have today. Okay, yeah, if that is what the let's go to the president. No, I am on the presidency. We have left IBC.
So can you finish IBC first? Can you guys finish IBC first?
He has moved to presidency. Let me move with you to presidency. What we are sorting out with the BBI is the mess we have in this country, because in 2010 constitution we created 2 centers of power without knowing, in the office of the deputy president. Today or the other day, the deputy president is in the backyard of the president trying to radicalize young people with wheelbarrow. At the same time, president is unveiling the affordable health care in Mombasa to the same youth who cannot afford that health care. Because the president cannot tame his deputy, the constitution has it like that. He cannot fire him, he cannot do anything. So we cannot go ahead and create another 3rd center of power in the name of prime minister. It has to be a prime minister who can be fired or hired by the president.
For your information, MESHACK.
It is a mess we have today,
Let me
and you know
for your
it.
information,
The deputy
MESHACK.
president is going
For your
left,
information,
the other
MESHACK.
one is going right,
For your
and the president
information.
cannot do anything.
For your
It has to be sorted out.
For your information, MESHACK, Mount Kenya is not a backyard of anybody. Anybody is free to come, even yourself, MESHACK.
I know you are young,
Let me tell
but
you.
when you are Thurakukumira,
Let me-
you are
let me
still
tell you.
alive.
Let
I
me
know
tell
you
you.
are young.
Odede.
But 2017,
Give
you
him
are a
a-
man.
give
At
Makarobia.
least you are a man.
Let's- Odede.
Appreciate there was Kumira Thuraku and all the rest. It is a backyard.
Odede.
Who are you lying?
Odede,
Give
you're
me a
speaking.
minute.
You've been
Come on.
speaking. Give him a
Odede,
chance to
give
speak.
me
I mean, I'm not a
Odede.
little kid.
Odede.
Even if he is young,
Odede,
when he's
listen.
17, he voted. At
Odede.
least he knows Thuraku what I'm talking
Odede,
about.
I'll meet you.
Kumira what I'm
Odede,
talking about.
give
I'm
me a
Odede.
minute.
So, coming to masquerade here, like, not a backyard for anyone.
Odede, relax, Odede.
No,
Calm
relax.
down.
Relax.
Calm down.
I mean,
Hii sherehe haitaki hasira.
Haya.
No.
Relax, relax.
Hakuna hasira, I'm telling
Give
you.
Karobia an ability to express himself.
Maybe you just forgot.
You've expressed yourself.
No,
Give
you
him
have
an ability to
expressed
express
yourself.
himself.
Come on.
When William Ruto is coming to Mount Kenya, or when he is going to Nyanza region, or when he is going to Coast Province, Coast region, he is going there as the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya. When he is going to any part of the country, he doesn't go as William Samoei Ruto. As a political candidate, as a candidate in 2022, he goes there by virtue of the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya, and that's why you find
Implementing
he actually.
so the wheelbarrow is a
Give me a
government.
minute.
Just
You talked.
give him a minute.
And that's why when he's going to these forums, I'll give you two significant things that I observe, because I do follow him wherever he goes. He has the official chair of the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya.
Yes.
He has the portrait of the president
Yes.
at the back of the tent. That tells you when he is coming to that area, he is not coming for any political interest that he might be harboring in 2022. He is coming there as the official or as the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya. So we must separate the mandate that he was given by Kenyans, 8 million Kenyans in 2017, and the political ambitions that he harbors in 2022.
What was that mandate, by the way?
So, as the deputy president,
To do what?
So listen,
Just told us.
listen,
By the way, you are muted, Odede.
listen,
So just wait.
listen,
Let him express
Listen,
himself.
Odede. We must shun and we must move away from this politics of MAINA KAROBIA cannot go to any other part of the republic because it is viewed that area is owned by another person. We must move away, and this is what I think you BBI guys have been trying to propagate. We must move away from this regionalism, this sectarian politics. And that's what William Ruto has been trying to move away from through his narrative of First Nation. So my brother, I'm calling you to a paradigm shift conversation of moving away from politics of regionalism
Wait,
and sectarian
I'll
politics.
admit you. What is done? What Karobia has done?
So when you talk about the imperial president or the president who that we are moving away from the president who makes unilateral decisions, my friend, the BBI proposes a president who can sack or hire a prime minister at will, a president who can even also appoint and sack the deputy president at will. That tells you there is centralization of power.
Let him finish. I'll give you
There
your
have
time
been
to repeat.
centralization of power, something that the constitution of the 2010 constitution was trying to move Kenya away from. So I'm telling you, my friend, this BBI, as you try, some sections are good. I don't want to oppose it in totality, but there are things that are very fundamental and things that have been trying to be propagated by the proponents of this document, and they seem to be very hypocritical and dishonest with Kenyans. And that is in terms of solving the inclusivity question, the issue of youth issues, and the issues of police issues in this country.
Okay, all right. Odede, yes. Let me give you one man at a time. Let's not interrupt or call each other.
MAINA, if you're saying the deputy president goes to these places as deputy president, and you're saying he was given a mandate by 8 million Kenyans, what do you think that mandate was, other than deputizing the president and supporting the president in his agenda? Is that what he's doing? If he was given mandate by the people, 8 million people you claim. I don't know those 8 million people, at least I was not on that side. But let me take it as a gospel truth, there were 8 million people, because we saw the pattern of 54%ers and 44%ers algorithm and all the rest. So I don't care about that right now. But supposedly that was the case. What was that mandate supposed to be, other than deputizing the president? So when the president goes left, he goes right, deputizing him. Or what are you saying? Number two, if you say that we need to run away from this imperial presidency, I agree with you. But should we run away from imperial presidency and get into a big mess of creating 3 or 4 centers of power, and then the country is now here, we don't know who is leading us? Would you rather we go that route? Because right now we have tested this Constitution 2010 for 8 years, and we can now see clearly that yes, the Constitution gave the deputy president enough powers not to be sacked by the president. But whenever he goes rogue, what happens? Because we can still, we are still here and we will be here longer. We will see, situations where some people will go rogue. So if we get a prime minister who, again, is another center of power, then he goes northwest and the deputy president goes southeast and the president is on the north, what are we going to do as a country?
I have a problem. I have a problem with people who are supporting the DP. And this is my problem with the DP supporters. Whenever it comes to the question of authority, then they clearly remind us that he's the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya. But whenever it comes to the question of taking responsibility for a mistake, we are then told of how much he has been sidelined. So can we create a narrative and stick to it? If he's in government or he's not in government, you people really need to decide once and for all, because he's in government. He's responsible for the failures of the Jubilee government. He's 1/2 of the Jubilee government. He's 50% of the Jubilee government. There is no way Isai tutaanza sideline from all those things that have happened, that have gone wrong. Our problems did not start with the handshake. Our problems started with the first NYS scandal. That is when our problems started. So if the deputy president was sidelined when the handshake happened, when did the handshake happen? In 2018? What has he accomplished as the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya between 2013 and 2018 before the handshake? Stop bullshitting us, man. He's failed. He's failed as equally as the president has failed. End of story.
And now ODEDE is in government. What do you think should be the responsibility of ODEDE and the handshake government? Should they also share the failure? Should they share the failure? Should they share the failure?
Yes.
No. Because now we're having phase 2 of Jubilee.
We are into actually.
We're having phase 2 of Jubilee.
That is what we are trying to do, fixing the mess.
According to Dr. Ekuru Aukot,
yes,
the opposition is now having multiple orgasms in bed with the government, and because this sexual
is Dr.
demons
still a party leader in Kenya?
If these sexual demons have been transferred from the failures of the Jubilee, you are a shareholder in those failures.
No, Lucia, let me tell you.
You're a shareholder in those failures.
Gerald, let me say
even
this.
Baba is a shareholder in those failures.
Baba is mweupe kama pamba. Let me just.
When I grow up, I just want 3 psychopaths like you. when I get into politics, I just want 3 seconds of the
Don't worry.
I just need 3 seconds of the
Let me just tell you this, Lucia. The truth is, there was a mess. The handshake happened. The 2 gentlemen sat down. According to them, they listed 9 points. And according to them, they thought these are the reasons why our country is not prospering the way we would want it to. They threw to us the document and asked Kenyans, these are our thinking. Did anybody around that time believe or think that those 9 points are not actually our problems? I don't know. But at least I didn't hear anybody saying, we disagree with those 9 points. Corruption is not our problem. Good governance is not our problem. Maybe a divisive election is not our problem. I didn't hear. If there was someone who differed with those 9 points, they could have been, but at least I didn't hear anyone. So where did we part the way? We parted ways when we started bringing solutions, because they only threw to us the 9 points, and the solutions were to come from Kenyans. So Kenyans were to say, when it comes to divisive election, what does Gerald think would fix our divisive election problem? When it comes to issues of corruption, what does MAINA think would be an answer to corruption? Looking at the constitution that we have and any part that is not working. If everything is what was working, we would not be having those corruptions. We would not be having those divisive elections. So the BBI document was only to enrich what we already have. It is not about taking the constitution, putting aside and putting BBI in the front. It is still the constitution, but we are looking at this thing. For example, let me just get back to you on that issue, Gerald. When we have right now, as the constitution has it, if the Public Service Commission, which is a multi-sectoral team, and we appreciate that, when they have done interviews and ranked Gerald #1, personally, I think the president should be confined to a point according to those rankings. It shouldn't be at the latitude of the president now to go and pick number 14 and make the chair of probably that commission. Yeah, I think if we are amending things, so if we do that, maybe people will have more confidence than they had before. They had confidence that Public Service Commission would conduct a fair interviews for Kenyans for any public position. But once it is conducted, how do I feel as a Kenyan, and how do people even from my region feel that I was #1 in the Public Service Commission interviews? This is where clergy sit, this is where government officials sit, and many others. And all of them, in their mind, they think I am the best for this position. Then come to the table of the president, he goes to that list and pick number 10. I mean, honestly, how does that feel? It really feels bad. So for me, the kind of amendments that we probably wanted is a situation like that. Let's give the president the document and say, Gerald is #1 according to all of us who sits in the PSC. We think he is the best for this job. So if we are not amending all that in the name of let's just have the constitution implemented as it is. I mean, constitution is not 10 commandments.
So even as you look at that, you know, post 2013 elections, as we had at 2017 elections, the appointing of IBC committees was almost inclusive within the parties and all that. And now I think the condition we're having is we just want to repeat the same process without a guarantee. I think the only excitement that you have is that now you are in the place where decisions are being made, and that's a consolation. And it could flip anyway. That's what I'm saying. Because look at this, ODEDE. After 2017 elections, we had even a president was sworn in, Raila Odinga, was sworn in the Uhuru Park. We had 2 centers of powers, quite literally. The president and another president, people's president, Raila Odinga. And the conversation has been, what is more dangerous? You can imagine now we be having you now ODM guys umechukua commissioners wenu wenye kwa IBC, mumeenda Capitol Hill, mnatangaza election, sema sisi tulishinda. William Ruto naye ako Karen na wake wenye walioappoint wako pale ndani. What happens also to small parties? Because the commission they're looking for cannot accommodate all the parties. You know, it almost accommodates almost, I think it's 4 commissions. 4 commissioners. So when you share the 4 commissioners 2 within Jubilee and ODM, if Jubilee will be in existence at that time, because ODM seems like it is transient, it will live through all the troubles. If Jubilee will be, that means Jubilee and ODM will appoint. What happens to Wiper? What happens to other parties? And you can imagine now, in a contentious election like what we see in 2017, having commissioners in IBC announcing a different election in another area and doing a swearing in. Miguna will be back swearing in, maybe William Ruto, because they're friends now. Then we live and have a more, I feel, as a person, this is a very personal opinion, that if you're talking about a transparent and verified election, then it must be away from the politicians. We must detach it from the politicians, have it operating on the side, so that it's a tom checker. Like it's a tom on the side, the big brother saying, okay guys, this is what we're watching you.
Gerald,
but in Kenya, you see the biggest problem in Kenya as well is, and that's the reason why even you guys cannot agree on this table. The problem with Kenyan politics is it's very divisive in its own way. A document that's supposed to build bridge, we call it build bridges, you're actually fighting over it on this table. Kenyan elections has issues with trust. And even if we brought in Jesus and Gabriel and we made them the chairman of IBC, we still have these problems that we have.
Gerald, do you think today we have an IBC which is away from politicians? The one we have today.
And this you are making it worse. That's what I believe is you are making it worse. Because the only consolation is a painkiller.
So you agree with me that this one needs fixing?
What I'm saying is, this is what I'm saying is, for the longest time we've been fixing IBC in this country. For the longest time. Even changed it even from whatever it was to now IBC. And we added an I. Independent electoral boundaries commission, and we sat there and said, wow, wonderful, now we have a very beautiful commission. Back to 2007 we had a fight, and we said, okay, now let's come in and form a commission. Raila Odinga was there, Uhuru Kenyatta was there, William Ruto, everybody was there, and they said, now guys, we're happy about this commission. Now let them go and do the elections. After the elections, we still have a problem with the same commission, an independent commission. Are we
having problems?
This is what I'm saying.
Gerald,
this is what I'm saying.
I don't know how US does its elections at the political party level, but I believe that if you are defeated in an election, you should go home. The reason as to why we will continue having problems in our country is because MAINA KAROBIA wins elections against MESHACK. MESHACK believes wacha nimsumbue kwa saa hizi, but I know I have a chance in the next election. If I defeat MESHACK in the next election, he will also start some small skirmishes and now start saying I have another chance, another election. So we need to have, I don't know whether it is a culture that is in America or it's something that is anchored on law. If you are defeated in elections, go home. So that we don't have this perennial issue of somebody loses in 1987, comes to 2002, comes to 2007, comes to 2013, 2017. The same guy is in the ballot or is influencing the politics. That's when you are going to find the politics of the nation are individualized. Whereby, if one person is dissatisfied, he feels like he owns a certain crowd, and the government of the day or the person who wins, he must succumb to the demands or the conditions of this person. So I believe there needs to be a political culture whereby at the presidential level, if you lose, please go home, and and also the government will see a way how you're going to retire in terms of packaging. But I think this is
so that's your solution.
That is my solution. If you lose, go home.
I wonder why youth are even, you are overrated. You are seriously overrated.
If you lose, go home.
I mean, this is the level of thinking of a youth we have in Kenya.
No,
this is so overrated.
No, today.
I mean, this is so
myopic. Have you ever heard of Hillary Clinton?
Do we have a problem with our electoral system in Kenya or not? Let alone the people who vie. Do we have a problem?
Do you know why we have a problem?
Tell me if we have.
We have a problem. But we have this problem.
So to you, fixing that problem is going back to the people who vie.
Let me tell you.
I mean, this is the level of thinking of a youth in Kenya. I mean, you are the best in your team.
No, MESHACK, listen. MESHACK, listen, the reason as to why we have a problem, is because these forces that are trying to join politics, or that are having that are competing, they are trying to make everything possible so that they can defeat this person, because this other person is also trying to make something so that he can influence this politics.
Gerald,
what I'm saying is,
wait.
Just a minute.
Ask this guy, how old was he in 2007?
How old were you?
How old were you in 2007?
Why do you want to know? And why
do you
are you
want
asking?
to know my age?
Yeah?
Why do you want to
Because I
manage?
may be talking to someone I shouldn't be talking to. I mean, the discussion is
No,
way
man,
above you.
no.
Way above you.
The thing is,
I mean,
this is what I'm saying. And you see,
try and
Odede.
get your guest right.
This is what I'm saying.
I mean,
Odede.
some
Now, listen.
discussions are not worth discussing.
No, listen, listen, Odede.
Gerald,
Guys, I'm gonna mute all of you.
In this country,
Alright, I muted all of you.
The
Listen.
electoral commissioner, chair of the electoral commission,
Listen.
tells the country that he doesn't know who won.
Odede,
I mean,
and this is what I'm telling you. Listen,
is it
Odede.
even worth discussing
Listen.
with you that when
Listen,
you think
Odede.
the other person is the
Even-
problem?
Listen, Odede. Odede, listen,
I cannot
Odede.
come to your show with somebody.
Listen, Odede.
I mean,
Listen.
Funga if you want.
Listen,
Who
Odede.
cares?
Listen, Odede. Listen.
Really?
Listen, Odede. First of all, you,
In this country,
listen, Odede. You
We
need.
have a server which has not
Listen.
been opened until now.
So have you
It's
opened
in
now?
France.
Have you
It's
opened
in
now?
France.
But you're in government, tell Uhuru to open.
Wait, that is nonsense.
You're in government, tell Uhuru to
Gerald,
open.
Alright, guys, listen.
get a discussion
Guys,
that
listen.
we can discuss
Listen.
on
Listen,
issues
guys.
that affect the
Listen,
country.
and this is what I'm
Let
telling
us
you.
not discuss William Ruto things.
And this is what I'm telling you,
I mean,
guys.
this
Listen.
is nonsense to even
Listen,
waste
guys.
my time.
Listen.
Okay.
I
And
mean,
this,
no.
listen. Listen. Listen,
Even
Odede.
if you don't want to call me on your show again.
Odede, listen.
But this is not a kind of a person. you
Odede,
want
listen.
to me.
Listen,
But
Odede. But also you're pushing your agenda. I mean, what makes you so feel so indispensable?
Something that we know.
You're pushing your agenda. Be tolerable, my friend.
I mean, what is that?
Listen, why are you blowing up? Chill, man.
Moses Kuria type
Chill
of-
down. Calm down. Listen, Odede.
This is not
listen,
argument I want to
listen,
go on.
listen, Odede. Listen, Odede. There are people also who are irritated with you, but they accommodate you.
Let them be,
Listen,
but I'm not forcing them.
and as I'm telling you, listen,
If
listen,
they want to go, go.
listen, Odede.
But you're not going to force
Listen.
me to discuss something.
Listen,
like this.
Odede.
When you
Listen.
and I both know.
Listen, Odede.
Okay.
Can you for a minute calm down and listen? You see, and that's why nasemanga siasa haitaki makasiriko.
discussion.
Nasema wataki makasiriko. Ndio nasemanga siasa haitaki makasiriko.
I mean,
Usiweke
I
kwa
thought
roho,
we were
weka
young
kwa lungs.
leaders
This is what I'm saying.
and
Listen.
We're looking at the real problem in
And this is what I'm telling you. And that's what I'm telling you guys. And this is a problem that you have.
Yeah.
And this is a problem that you both of you have.
Yeah.
The thing is, we are talking about an IBC, which should be independent in its
So,
own way.
how
But
is
all
the
of you,
context
but that's what I'm telling you, both of you find a way. And that's why you're also mentioning William Ruto.
Yeah.
That's why you're also mentioning William Ruto.
Yeah.
And I'm saying the problem is that when you start introducing these individuals, you're just getting so emotional about them. You lose the agenda at the end of the day. You're talking about IBC, tayari Musharuka, Ruto, Raila, nene. That's why we're having a problem with it. And I think that's where we're also losing it in the discussion. The thing is, we are talking about arms of government that should be independent.
Yes.
And that's the discussion because you also brought in William Ruto and nobody has a monopoly.
No,
And this
you are
other guy
trying
brought
to
it. So,
justify
no, I'm not
something
justifying.
with
What I'm saying is,
I brought William.
but, and that's why,
He has already
and that's why I've
brought
reduced.
politicians
I
in
pulled
the
you guys.
discussion.
That's why I've been
So
pulling you.
Unless you want to
Listen.
tag me and let him bring.
I've muted everybody.
Other people.
I've muted everybody. And this was my discussion. This is what I told you guys. Let's talk about IBC
Yes.
as a body, independent
what I
body.
want
You get it?
about.
And I've said we baptized this thing for the longest time. Should we still argue that this is a problem or do we need to fix our political culture?
Gerald, let me be sober.
Be very sober.
I think I am enough.
Are you sober now? Okay.
Let me ask you, Maina. In 2017, we go for an election as a country. We know how our economy is at stake. We have an election which is nullified by the court of law. We use another 40 to 50 billion Kenya shillings. Yeah? Doesn't it bother you that something went wrong? Or you think Maraga and the team just didn't like Uhuru, they just hate him, so they nullified the election? Does it bother you that something might have been wrong? How the hell as a country did we spend 50 or 40 to 50 billion and then we are going to repeat an election in October 26th using almost the same amount or more? I mean, does our economy, those times, did you even care about the economy? I mean, no. So instead of asking, what is wrong with this body? Why didn't they do a good election, free, fair, transparent? Because according to the court, this election was not, that is the election of August, was not conducted in accordance with the law. So who flouted the law should be my question and yours, whether you support Uhuru then and I support Raila then. The main question should be, as young people in this country, our economy has just wasted 40 billion or more. And the body here is supposed to be professional and independent. So how did they flout the law? Who actually takes responsibility on this? Yeah? And this is the problem. When you start talking about that time, MAINA is so overcrowded by the win, which is fraudulent. and he is busy singing on the street, si uchawi ni maobi, webe ni ure ure. He does not want to imagine that the country has lost 50 billion, which I also is a stake of, because I'm also a taxpayer, and perhaps I even pay more taxes than you. Yeah?
So, whatever I pay more than you.
Hey, perhaps you pay more than me.
It's not a competition, that's what I'm saying.
So, when we have a problem like that, and then this is now the argument that mtu akichidwa aende jumani. I mean, isn't it just good enough to calm down even with your fraudulent win and say IBC? To be honest, we spend another 40 billion. Who actually flouted the laws in the other election, and who is taking responsibility? If somebody is able to be level-headed enough to ask that, he is being told, aende jumbani, hata sijui Hillary, sijui nini nini. Is that not nonsense?
All right, before I throw in back to, let me put in Lucia in the middle to try and bring in some sense in the discussion.
Are you suggesting we lost it?
Yes, you guys lost it completely.
No,
I'm not suggesting.
I used to think I was the hot head. I'm realizing kumbe my head is not even hot. Where there are people who are hotter heads than I am. Here is my thinking. When we started this discussion, I think MESHACK alitupatia a very good background. He said an election was nullified. The reason for nullifying that election was because the election was not free and fair. So the question here should be, how do we make our elections free and fair? The question should not be who, when. No, the question should be, how do we make our elections free and fair? There are a number of problems that were cited in the 2013 election, same appeared in the 2017 elections. Those are the things that we need to focus on. When you are talking about IEBC and the nullification of the election, there is no point where you said it is the executive that has a problem. You mentioned it very correctly and said it is the electoral body. So when it comes to solutions, why then are we giving a painkiller where we are supposed to be treating? Why are we treating a symptom and not treating the disease? Because the violence that happens in this country after elections is a result of opaque and unfair elections, because someone feels they've been robbed. That is why the violence comes. The violence is a symptom of a disease. Can we focus on getting the right treatment for the disease? If I give you a bucket and I tell you I want 10 buckets of water, yeah, but that bucket has a hole, the first thing I think as a sensible man you will try to do is kuziba yo shimo so that the bucket can hold water. But then right here, instead of kuziba shimo, we are going to buy new buckets that have no business helping us to seal the hole in our current bucket. And that is where we lose it. We need to deal with IEBC. When the elections are transparent, free, and fair, no one will feel robbed. We will not have the need to pacify a loser. A loser is a loser. When you got your job, someone else lost. That person was never pacified. We are not going to be the first country that is going to engage in that stupidity and rubbish. I refuse as a Kenyan.
Thank you. There is one thing, Gerald.
Allow me, MESHACK, ODEDE, to make a commentary. And this is what I think, because also we all have responsibility of this country. Once we start looking at offices and institutions, not people, I mean, that's where we'll start talking about progress. When we look at the president's office, not as Uhuru Kenyatta, but as the president's office, we look at it differently. Yeah. When you look at the DP's office, as a DP's office, and not as William Ruto, we have it different. When you look at then it's because tomorrow anybody other person can be sitting. I don't imagine that William Ruto ever imagined that at some point he would be out of government. And ODEDE will be sitting here telling us we're in government. I mean, it happens. Because you never know, tomorrow someone else could be the deputy president, could be the president. Tomorrow, ODEDE could be in charge of IBC. If I look at IBC through the eyes of ODEDE and say, okay, I've seen ODEDE there and I can only conclude that that IBC is not proper, then we'll have a problem. And then we even got to a position at some point where we are saying we want to bring in foreigners to come and manage IBC. Because we personalized Kenyan institutions. Isn't it time that we separate institutions from people? To an extent that you can trust an institution without necessarily looking at who is sitting on that seat. You can know guys are going to be credible. And when elections are announced, I'm seeing Trump already saying Biden is stealing elections. So this shit happens everywhere. But the thing is, I we get to a point where we look at it and we can trust the process here.
Gerald, you're right. You're very right. And even Lucia is right. One thing that messes everything are politicians. For example, just within IBC still, we are now talking about IBC and this referendum. And the discussion has already started about the cost. Yeah? Somebody like Raila Odinga says, isn't it time we look at the cost of our elections? But the next minute, Deputy President is in Mount Kenya telling the people there that he is fighting IBC. I mean, don't you find this very funny? Because Tanzania has just concluded their election with 30 million voters, registered voters, at a cost of 14.2 billion Kenya shillings. We have an election which costs us 40 to 50 billion, with 18 to 20 million registered voters. I mean, even if you don't like me, isn't it something you'd also want to be careful about and say, by the way, you are making sense. Why is our election too costly? Why is it costing our taxpayers, the hustlers, so much to conduct an election? Isn't that something we can just not sit down and discuss as a country? Must I pick it from the question you raised, and now I'm on the people? He is fighting IBC. We know him. I mean, how does that now help?
And that's what I'm
How
telling
does
you.
that help to bring down the cost of election?
And that's what I was saying. And that is why, if you're here, you need to reduce the connection between ODEDE and the panelists, so that you don't end up bringing in someone else. Let's discuss IBC for what it is.
No,
let's look at the loopholes. But you have a problem with that. When another someone else brings in the political, you have a problem.
No, wait. Look at how I'm bringing, for example, Deputy President and Raila in the context. Because what they say makes everybody take a certain opinion going a certain direction. So I'm bringing their names in the discussion in a context, in a very good context that makes sense to going forward. But the way he is bringing the name of a politician in it is not in any context. Because when we agree that we have a problem with our election, Akombe is an independent electoral commissioner, one of the commissioners, then runs away. We are waiting for her here, and then all of a sudden ametoroka. Few weeks later, Akina Consolata and Katha and the other commissioners resigning, and they are citing a serious issues within the commission. This was supposed to be our very own independent commission. So when we say there's something wrong with this commission, should it be pinned on a certain politician that he is fighting IBC? I mean, that is
why we
a
must
logical thing. We all need to
right.
just say, yes, I don't like you, my brother Raila Odinga, but maybe what you're saying is worth looking into.
Okay.
Yeah, there is a problem with this commission. Why is the other one running away, and why are these other ones citing all this when we all expected them to work together and give us a result?
Right.
In this situation, somebody is drunk with power. If you say there's a problem with this commission, so one has run away there, oh, we know you, go home, you have lost, nonsense. I mean, that is not a discussion I want to get into. No.
KAROBIA.
It's unfortunate during our discussion that some of us got emotional. It is normal in any political
And you
discussion.
guys need to be leaving emotions at the door.
Yeah.
I'll get a basket for emotions.
Yeah, so it's not good. And you know one thing, politics, you might be triggered, and if you get emotional, that is a shortcoming on your side. But let me say this: our main question should be, how can we make our elections credible, transparent, and verifiable? That should be our main question. What will be the process? Should it be by casting a ballot, or should it be electronically done, so that we make them verifiable? Because let me tell you, the reason as to why we will continue having issues also, like I said, is when we continue conducting our elections based on the region where a person comes from, political parties also, now we have also brought another baggage that the political parties will be second in commissioners. If we will not be trusting the instruments that we have within the electoral process, even if we try to build any other recommendations of how we are going to second commissioners, my friend, we are going to lose it. Right now, we are talking of Huduma number being used as a political narrative that it is going to influence elections in 2022.
Has it been influencing before? Has elections been being influenced before?
No, I'm trying. That is not a matter of discussion. I'm trying to build a case.
He's bringing out the speculations that already
are. You're also planting ideas in our head that elections kumbe have been influenced before.
No, I'm saying
because it cannot just begin in 2022.
I'm saying this, MESHACK.
Yeah, you found that narrative somewhere.
Be tolerant.
Yeah.
There is a narrative that is being built up that the Huduma number is going to influence elections in 2022 going forward. If we are not going to have
a conversation around
that,
the speculations will
and now we have had somebody who has been appointed as the data commissioner.
Yes.
And this person
was still a data commissioner then.
Yeah, and has unilateral powers around how this data is going to be used. Then that is a recipe of chaos.
Now you are talking.
So we need to ask ourselves, Gerald, how are we going to make this data, even as much as it is going to be handled by one person, how are we going to make sure that this data can be verified?
Yes. It's not manipulated.
And it is not manipulated, and it can go according to the will of the people.
Thank you, Gerald. Now the discussion is taking shape. The problem I have is just one, that it is not the first time such a thing is being said in Kenya.
So we should not fix it because not the first time.
No. Then it was said. But what did we say?
So is it about the solutions or who has said what at what point?
Okay, so now because the shoe has changed, we now
it's
want
not about the shoe because what you say.
Solutions.
The thing is, okay, give us solutions.
Can you let some people also feel the shoe kidogo? And we all look for solutions.
Maybe you're not fixing anything.
It is not that ikinifinya, we are okay, then ikifika kwako, we want solutions haraka. No, stay there.
So you're out for revenge. You're out for revenge.
No, I'm not for revenge. The narrative I'm pushing is when we have all seen its badness, we all rise up together to fix it.
But that's what you are saying.
For example,
because it might also the shoe, you never know. You don't have the shoe permanently. It might switch again.
Okay, we have tested it. We have tested it. So you don't scare us with it. We know it. So it is time for you to test it. Then when we both agree that this shoe in Afinya, we need to put it aside. All of us go one direction to put it aside, and we fix a country. For example, when the former Prime Minister talked
your last rounds of comments.
For example, when the former Prime Minister spoke about Waiguru, the shoe had not pitched the people of Kirinyaga then. Yeah, they all thought this guy, hapana, huyu mzee ni mbaya kabisa, ni mwizi, ni mchawi, all those names, until William himself was able to tell him, wakiwa Kakamega na Uhuru, wachana na Waiguru, face me and Uhuru. Waiguru is a small person. I mean, I have those in my head. They are running all the times. Then a time came when the people of Kirinyaga stamped authority to show Raila that we want this lady. Yeah. Now the shoe is pitching. So Raila is telling them, wait a minute. I mean, when ikipitch kidogo after a few minutes later, then we all will rise to fight corruption in any sphere, whether in Nyanza or Central. Because at that time, when corruption was mentioned here, you are fighting our government, you are fighting our son, you are fighting our minji. So let it pitch kidogo here and there, and then we all rise as a nation and say, to hell with all these shoes that are pitching. We want a shoes that is now comfortable for our country. We will be a prosperous nation.
But Baba has been gallivanting with Minji.
Of course, because the shoe must fit on the other side for some time. Mbona wao wakisikia shoe kidogo tu hivi wana kutoa. Hapana. Na hatujafika safari. Nani anatoa viatu kama nilikuwa nakuja hapa tackle? Ati nimefika town nishatoa viatu. Nafika tackle without shoes. No. I mean, lazima
So we complete the journey.
Nirudi nyumbani, alafu issue sitawahi vaa tena.
So we complete the journey.
Let us complete the journey.
Lucia. You know, ODEDE is speaking with behalf of the government, so you don't take him lightly.
MESHACK is the person who wants, because I suffered, you also need to suffer before we can try to even find.
By then I thought to rumia excess wa MESHACK. Lazima excess wa MESHACK wameumia sana. Alright, wacha tuchukue simu tusikie. Hello. Good morning.
Well,
yes.
Good morning, Gerald. How are you?
Fine, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I just wanted to leave a few comments.
Please.
Yes, because I'm looking at the kind of comments that are being left here by my fellow youth on the comment section, and I'm very sad.
Yes.
Because we're talking about election management in this country. And we have had issues with election management for a very long time. I mean, in 2007, we had issues with elections management, and we had Kriegler put in some recommendations. Then Ruto was in Raila's side, so he backed those recommendations. In 2013, we had the election issues, and CJ Willy Mutunga's Supreme Court brought in some recommendations in 2013. Those recommendations were not brought to the table. IBC ignored them. In 2017, we had issues, and Maraga's Supreme Court also brought about some recommendations, which IBC has not taken into account. Now, if you look at this trend, it means that in 2022, we will have issues again, and we don't know who will be on the receiving end. It might as well be Ruto. So when we are talking about elections, and when we're talking about election management, and the costly cost of running elections in this country, and the fact that we had to do presidential elections twice, let us not think about it as Raila does not accept. Raila does not accept. It is not a question of Raila or Ruto. It is a question of poor management of elections, which we have seen. Next time, it might be as well Ruto who is on the receiving end. So let us not talk about it on that end. Let us think about how IBC has mismanaged the election. Let us think about how 3 separate elections, we've had recommendations that IBC has ignored. And what will we do as citizens to make sure that elections, even if we're not talking about 2022, we're talking about elections for the future that will help our people vote and know that their votes will count, whether Raila loses or Ruto loses. So this is my first point. My second and last point. Let us stop talking about election losers as if they're demons. You know, that man is a loser. That man, no. Let us stop pacifying and vilifying election losers. The other day, Hillary Clinton lost an election in America. Today or tomorrow or sometime this week, Joe Biden or Trump, one of them will lose an election. It will not make them less American. They're still American.
Yes.
And their word should still count on how the America is being run. So when we are talking about election losers, let us not vilify and say that man is a loser, that man is used to losing. Even if he's a loser, he has millions of people who supported him. And those millions of people have a say on how this country should be run. Let us not go back to a situation where we have Kenyans saying that Kenya should be divided in two. That we should not go there. Let us talk about how we will keep Kenya one. Whoever loses, whoever wins, and
honorably
still has a say. Yes.
Okay, that's the point. That's what I'm saying. We need to fix institutions, not people, because people come and go. But the institutions must be transient. They must, they must outlive us. If you look at America, for instance, the elections are going, and they're tight to tight, neck to neck. And by the end of today, we'll be able to get the results. And I'm pretty sure that we are not going to need a BBI there. We're not going to have post-election violence and all other things. I mean, because institutions have outlived the people. It's not about the people who are running for office. Actually, there were almost 1,500 candidates for presidency in America, and only 2 are on the last leg right now. And also, I'm telling these guys is we need to build institutions that outlive the politicians, because once we bring in the politicians, that's where the emotions come in.
Yes.
But when we discuss institutions, then it becomes an issue of an institution that can serve me and can serve you. It doesn't matter whether tomorrow, because politics, watu wanakutana kila siku. Who could ever imagine that Uhuru and Raila Odinga would be in government? Raila Odinga was saying Uhuru anavuta bangi na kunywa pombe. Uhuru anasema huyu ni mkorogi na ni mganga. Hatujiambiwa alipona lini ama aliacha bangi lini, but they're still together.
Yes.
So if we leverage our institutions around the people, then it means every other time we have to change the institution when different people are in one place.
Yes. And at the end of the day, Gerald, I hate to bring death, but the truth is we will all die.
Yes.
At the end of the day, Raila will pass away, Ruto will pass away, Uhuru will pass away at some point. I mean, our founding president, Kenyatta, passed away, Moi passed away.
Yeah.
So let us not look at these people as if they are the beginning and the end of Kenya. They will come, they have come, and they will go. We don't know when they will go, but they will go. Yeah, so let's talk about institutions and not about individuals. Thank you, Gerald.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. Sasa mmesikia Mkenya anaongea kama Wakenya 53. All right. That was quite a conversation. All right, guys. Lucia, you're the one who was speaking.
I was saying MESHACK is very unforgiving, and this is a mentality that we need to kill. And I hope my brother MESHACK will kill it. We don't, they already know the suffering. They know what it is. It is what it is. They know. It's not that they don't know. They don't have to go through it. They are aware. They're the ones who made the rules that are now oppressing them. They know. So that shoe has pinched, and it already has. It's time for Kenya to heal. It's time for us to start talking about ideologies. Let's come here and have a discussion on how the excess food from Trans Nzoia can reach to the people in Tana River. Let's talk about how the floods can be harnessed to provide water to Nairobi, which is a problem. Let's talk about how we are going to eradicate corruption. Let's talk about ideologies. Hii siasa ya sijui ni nani alisema, alipeana, alifanya, until a day when it comes when that person will put in measures that will secure the future of your fourth generation. It's not worth it talking about them. Just the other day, Norman wanted to kill himself, and nobody was giving two shits at that moment, simply because our politics are tethered on persons rather than, right now the disagreements that our politicians are fighting is because they think another politician is going to get more than they will get. They're looking out for their own interests. No one is looking out for the interest of Atieno and Wanjiko. Nobody, none of them, not even Baba himself. Tusidanganyane. And you know that, MESHACK. You know how our politicians are. You know they will never drive this country anywhere. They've been in politics for over 25 years. It took China 20 years to move from a low-income economy to a high-income economy. If our politicians wanted to change this nation, if Ruto cared about the hustlers, he would have done what China did 20 years ago. He's been in politics for over 20 years. Same to Raila, same to Uhuru, same to Wetangula, same to Mudavadi, same to all the politicians that we heckle their names out here. They have not done it. Stop supporting someone who has not done anything for your fourth generation, MESHACK. Don't look at yourself right now. You will die. You're not immortal. Neither are our politicians immortal. They're all going to die. A few years from now, they will all be dead. But our children are going to live on. So do you want a country where your child will come and still continue to make noise over the same issues that you're making noise over right now? Is that what you want for your generations? Or do you want them to come and find a better Kenya? We cannot start having a better Kenya if we are just focused on the wrong things. And I'm sure you know the BBI is the wrong thing. We have a misplaced priority when it comes to that. You know it. You better start saying it. Because history will judge you harshly. Your children will judge you harshly. Your generations will judge you harshly if you don't stop the psychophancy that is going on in this country right now. And this applies to all Kenyans who are psychophants. If you cannot see behind your tribal demigod, if you cannot see behind it, if you cannot see behind Hustler Nation, you're being given wheelbarrows right now when you should be being given something else, when you shouldn't even be needing that wheelbarrow in the first place. Mbona hizo wheelbarrow hazijapelekewa watu wa mjengo? Ask yourself that question. Why is it that in 2020 you need to be given kazi mtaani ya kuclear drainage? Why is it that we don't have better waste management systems? Why is it that in 2020 lazima ukuje kwa mtandao familia ndio tukuchangie pesa ya kwenda hosi. Can you ask yourself, why is it that we do not have better healthcare system when we've had the same people in politics for over 3 decades? That should tell you there's a consistency in something, and that consistency is not development. And they did not just wake up tomorrow and decide we are now helping the hustlers, namasafaras, and we are going to change the narrative. They are not. It's a campaign tactic, and once you've been used, you will be dumped like the piece of shit that you are.
Mic drop. Karobia, your last comment. I can say MESHACK is very sentimental.
No, I'm listening.
Lucia has really lectured us on supporting, but it's okay. Maybe my parting shot is that when we are making laws, we should not make them having a particular person in mind. We should make our laws and policies with a view of making Kenya good or greater. We should make deliberate efforts to also listen to each other, irrespective of the political affiliation or persuasion, irrespective of the region he or she comes from. And that is the way we are going to build this nation. I also want to talk to my fellow youths that we need to be active in nation building. We should not leave this nation to the old guards, because we are the ones, they have inherited this world or this country from us. So it's upon us to try as much as possible to be active in whichever sector that you are in, political sector, economic sector, or social sector. Be the best in whichever sector that you are playing a role in, because that is the only way we can move this nation. The gross domestic product that is made every year to capture the development that we have as a country is based on every commercial effort that citizens do make. So the same, if this nation is to move forward socially and culturally and politically, we must make every deliberate effort so that the growth of this nation is going to be the aggregate of every effort that we put in as youth of this republic. If the BBI you feel is good for you, be active in it. If you feel it's bad or it's not progressive like I do, be active in it or be opposite in totality, because that is how we are going to move this nation. And that is the only way we can listen to each other. The doctrine of negotiation says that only 2 people at work can make peace. So when we are making alternative thoughts, that is the only way we are going to move this nation forward. A nation cannot be made just when there's a unilateral thought or there's only one dimension of thinking. There ought to be a diverse way of thinking, and that is how nation building is conducted. Thank you.
All right. My good friend, ODEDE.
Yes.
The one and only man who killed a dead lion.
Gerald, my tackle this morning is this. Number one, I think Lucia is talking from the civil society point of view, which is very much allowed and welcomed. The only thing we need to underline is there is no day civil society will rule politics in any country. They will just be civil society and they will check government. They cannot replace the politicians because that's not their role. So that's why sentiments like none of these people will come like 1,000 times. I mean, if we were to take that literally, so we do have a government anymore or politicians anymore? We just have none, because we went to bed, we woke up with nobody in any office, none of those people. Probably we take a whole new people, but maybe that might not change things a lot, because we also aware that in our parliament, almost 70% goes home every election, and the new people comes. But again, nothing changes. The new who comes, some of them come from civil society, others come from academia, others come from other sectors. They all find themselves in parliament. Then after a few years, we realize nothing much has changed. So if we say none of them go home, and then the next morning we have a whole new bunch, we're just going to pick that new bunch from this, me and you and another person. And probably now for me, it should work like a relationship. If I work more on myself, my relationship will work better than if I try to work on the girl or the woman. If the woman work more on herself, we can have it for a long time than if she tries to work on me, try to change me, try to do this on me. Sometimes I will be resistant to some things. But if I work on myself, there are things I can change easily without any. So the final bit is, I mean, I do not want to say you are sycophant because you're supporting William Ruto. I mean, it is just your choice. Nothing makes me sycophant because I'm supporting Raila Odinga. I'm just supporting him because I believe in him being consistent in trenches to open. Gerald, some of us are young, but not young enough not to know that shows like this were not allowed in this country at some point.
Yeah.
But somebody was consistently on the street to get it here.
Yeah.
Now, even if we now feel like they have done nothing, they will never change anything, I know what they have changed. I was alive when KANU youth was coming to get the chicken that is supposed to take me to school because DC is visiting our village. My mother had to give it out. I was alive when they went to the market na wanachukua ticket ya KANU with the few bananas to sell and buy things for us. I was alive when that happened. And I was alive the same time some people were in jail and trenches to do away with that. I know they changed some things. Somebody does not know that. Maybe they read in books. So it looks like the story of Abunwasi and other things. It doesn't make sense to them. They were born in a free space. They are free Americans. They want politics like Joe Biden and C.G. Bush. We want to understand what actually happened after the freedom came. Are we really free? If somebody needs to continue consistently to fight, we will learn from those people and we will pick it from there until we will be finally free as a country. Last, I don't think the president means bad. Gerald, to be honest,
I cannot believe it's on there now.
This is the last one. Okay. To be honest, if nothing happened like handshake or BBI, what country would Uhuru Kenyatta have left for William Ruto? Because my people had gone. They refused the elections of 26th. They stayed on the road day and night. They cooked on the road. They fought guns and bullets. And they said, if we need to die, we are going to die in this election, and our generation coming will have a free country according to us. I don't think Uhuru was going to leave any country to William Ruto. I think Uhuru had to go to the handshake because he loves his deputy and he wanted to leave power and country to him. If you ask me. Okay. That might be so deep for somebody to understand. Uhuru had to go home and leave one country to William Ruto. If he left it the other way it was, I think William Ruto would have had very little to desire even to become president of such a country. For now, he could be in problems. It could look like he has been sidelined. It could look like things have changed. But I think Kenya is back.
Ultimately.
Because my people were consistently talking about secession, secession, secession. And perhaps you don't know my people. They don't fear bullets. They can die for anything they believe in. William Ruto would not have had a country to inherit. I think he should just look at Uhuru in the eye and say thank you. Right. At least I have a chance to fight for presidency for a country that is one, although with many troubles.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for joining in. Nimeambia lazima niwafanyie handshake kabla mjaenda, so ndawafanyia handshake kabla hatujaenda. Wacha tusikie mambo ya America kidogo from Oga. Hello. Yes, boss. Hello. Hello.
Yes, how are you?
Fine. Now I'm seeing our good guy is opening the gap.
Oh yeah. Well, it's crossing actually. But we still have a long way to go.
All right. Very quickly, take us through
like,
the elections here.
yeah. I mean, technically 224 versus 212, and we still have very important races. That will be Georgia. We have Wisconsin and Michigan. That looks like they're leaning Trump, but you never know. But the very important one to look at is Pennsylvania with 20 electoral votes, and that one so far is leaning Biden. And the reason is the votes that are being counted already are only those that were counted today. The mail-in vote in millions has not been counted yet. It looks like that's actually what's making Trump go on Twitter ranting, because he knows for sure he might lose Pennsylvania. Now, for Biden to win this thing, he needs North Carolina. It looks like he's still hanging there. He needs Pennsylvania. He needs Minnesota. I think he's been given Minnesota, actually. He needs Arizona, Nevada, and Maine. So that's about 6 states to go. But, so 6 and the other 6. So 12 states will basically determine this election. And it looks like it could go either way. Now, there's another scenario where a lot of people haven't talked about it. The scenario where you have 269 each. What will happen there?
Yeah.
It's very possible. If you play with the map, you realize there's a possibility of 269 each.
Yeah.
Now, if that happens, the U.S. Constitution says that each state will be allocated one vote. For example, what is it called? Florida, or any other state, say Texas or California, will be given one vote. California, normally they have 55 electoral votes, but they will count as one. Now, if you go with that, instead of having one vote, obviously Trump will win, because it looks like he's won a lot of states, and those states don't have a lot of electoral votes. Now, what will happen is the Congress will be the one to make the final decision. And from the look of things, it looks like the Democrats are going to control the Congress. They've been controlling. They've actually gained one more from what they had already. So you're actually looking at a crisis if that we're going to have 269 each. Now, what's the crisis here? Unbeknown to many people, the U.S. has been polarized to a point where if you are, say, pro-Democrat, you are seen to be an enemy of the state. Or if you are, say, Republican, you seem as a hater. And with that said, there's been a lot of mobilization of the so-called alt-right and the far-left militias. I'm very sure a lot of you have seen a lot of trainings happening. You've seen the data from, U.S. that shows guns are gone up. The purchase of guns is up, and ammunition. Why are people arming themselves now? It's the fear. Online or social media platforms are actually labeling that as misleading. That's misleading because the U.S. Constitution in every state or every state's constitution states that once the poll is and you are on the line, you're allowed to cast your vote. So it looks like Trump actually is preparing his people for a battle.
Okay.
And I was telling someone earlier today that this guy actually should be a president in Africa. He doesn't need to be a president of the United States, a mature democracy like that. I had some of our friends here on your show talking about, Kenya being a democracy, there's something called pseudo-democracy. Nobody should ever mention that Kenya is a democracy. Hopefully next time they mention that in your show, you need to put them down and let them know that, democracy, there's an of, measuring the level of democracy in a country. A country where police can just, shoot you and beat you up the way they want, that's not a democracy. A country where the president can go against what the courts have decided, it's not a democracy. It's called a pseudo-democracy. So anyhow, I'm diverting from what I was saying earlier. Trump shouldn't be president of the United States. I'm not supporting either Biden, he's very uninspiring. But the way Trump is talking and, the way he's tweeting is too emotional for that kind of an office. We've always known that. But he's always, it looks like there's no new low point for him. He always goes lower than, what we've gotten used to.
Okay. So are there any chances of violence in America after the elections? Any post-election violence? Any probability?
Absolutely. I mean, I did a research on this one. And for example, you saw some people who they wanted to kidnap what is it called? State what? The head of a state is what in US? What is it called? Goodness. You have to remind me.
The governor.
Anyway, the head of there's a state, the head of a state. It's like a governor in Kenya. So they wanted to kidnap one of the leader of a certain state because she absolutely said there's no going to the market or opening. There's no opening of the state because of coronavirus. Now you see a lot of militias running around the streets with guns. You even see during Black Lives Matter marches that there's counter protesters. Those people were not just there just for show. They were telling everyone else who cares to know that they are there to protect and to cause havoc if it needs to be.
Okay.
And there's high chances if Trump is going to say the elections were rigged, and you can see what he's tweeting now. Yeah. He's preparing his people that, this election is not going to be fair and free. More like Raila in Kenya. I know somebody is in studio now.
You want to cause me another problem. I just fixed another problem. You want to bring another.
The US doesn't make you know everything.
All right. Very quickly, as we close it up, because of time.
Yeah. So we might not. Hopefully they will resolve this thing. But for sure, watch out for Pennsylvania. There will be court challenges from tomorrow. So we have to stay and watch that. But for now, I will end it there. My name is Kipchumba Kibwambok.
All right. Thank you so much, sir.
Your name betrays you.
All right. I'm not gonna thank you. This guy's you've already profiled him. Thank you guys for joining in. It's always a pleasure to have you. We hope to see you again tomorrow. Asante sana wale wa Kenya ambao wako America na wako Kenya hii. The American analyst from Kiamaiko. We wish you a very good day. Continue analyzing American politics. Tukimaliza tunarudi BBI. This is a tackle and the tackle ends now. Bye bye and see you tomorrow. Baada handshake kama jamaa. Wewe endeni Karobia enda pale mkula handshake na jangili yako.
Every politician knows other than talking.
Endeni huko mkula handshake Karobia.
It's all love at the tackle.
Tunaona lazima wajua kwamba mkitoka hapa mlimani kamera ni ile mtatumia kamera ya ODEDE.
I have very many friends in that other side. Akina
Mumefanya ODEDE amekula fire hapa asubuhi bana.
No, but some things.
Amewasha moto Nairobi na venye mvua imenyesha.
So mkula handshake yenu bana msalimiane. You see, these guys are friends. Awananga shida. He tackle it's all love to tackle and nothing more.
Where they meet. They meet with decor. When those people when they meet, a lot of decoy.
Lakini nyinyi mnapenda kushagana.
Haya.
Sijui kama atanirudisha kwa serikali, unajua yako kwa serikali.
Muingie kwa serikali mkule wewe. Lakini nilimuuliza jana kama ataniingiza, akasema hata tujakula mpaka tujafika mahali, muache tukule kwanza.
But to be honest, Mani, the best way to learn lessons sometimes are practical. This lesson that this will be bad for you, that lesson does not get anywhere. Sometimes it is good to let Bitok just
Suffer
have
kidogo.
it, not suffer, just learn practically, and then we all rise.
And then we close the exam room.
And then we say, now, you know what I know. So let's do
Let's
away
sit
with
now
this
and
bad
fix
one.
these things.
Yes.
All right, thank you so much, guys. What a pleasure to have you. The tackle ends now. See you again.